Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Full Throttle Finance, a financial literacy podcast geared towards taking complex financial topics and breaking them down into bite-sized, relatable chunks. My name is Felicia, and I am your CEO at Clean Bee Consulting. And today I am bringing you another solo episode because Allison is still out on PTO. Last week, I talked about a very important to us topic in the business world, which is called payroll. How it can actually be a strategic growth lever for your business and within your own program if you structure it and if you implement it correctly. Today, I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable with you guys because I believe strongly in transparency and relatability is what we coach our clients about. So I like to practice what I preach. So before Clean Bee Consulting, the accounting, bookkeeping, and business consulting firm became an idea, I actually had another passion project which allowed me to dip my toes into entrepreneurship. Clean Bee Candle Company. You can see the similarities in the names, right? Clean Bee Candle Company is a beeswax candle company that focuses on sourcing high quality ingredients to manufacture hand poured low tox candles that don't use essential oils or fragrance. They just rely on natural raw materials that are safe to burn in your home. This business venture proved to be incredibly insightful for me. Now, I know it isn't a direct motorsport relation, but just hang with me for today's episode. The story has some big entrepreneurial lessons that apply whether you're running a race program, a product-based side hustle, let's say, or scaling a consulting biz like what we do here at Clean Bee Consulting. Think of it like a day that's spent out racing. Sometimes you try a new setup, you gather data, and you adjust. The candle business was my test run for entrepreneurship in many ways. And what I learned from it has helped tune the way that I now support our clients in both the consulting work and out on the motorsport space too. We're going to talk about e-commerce, marketing, knowing when to pivot, and learning just how sometimes choosing simplicity over complexity is the right answer. In late summer 2023, after a lot of testing, I decided to launch a beeswax candle company. And it wasn't a totally random idea. Clean Bee Candle Company was inspired by my low tox living journey and a burning passion within me to spread awareness of cleaner alternatives after the loss of both of my parents. The last gift that I ever gave my mom before she passed away, who my mom was an extremely creative individual, was a candle making kit. And my dad was an entrepreneur for many years before he actually settled down as a teacher and as an athletic coach for young athletes. So you can see how there's ties from the candles in every which way that we support clients here with our firm at Clean Bee Consulting. It is also a business that was focused on sourcing as many resources possible that were close to home here to me in the Pacific Northwest so that I could support the local community. That was something that was really, really, really important to me. And, I had over 9 years of experience in e-commerce. So I had seen a lot of different strategies and selling platforms play out. So that experience gave me a major head start with the candle company. I already knew what products tended to move, how to source materials, how to track all of this information, how to item cost in manufacturing, how to fulfill orders, and how to ship things efficiently and cost effectively. But most importantly, I had a lot of examples of what not to do. I didn't have to spend a ton of money on experimentations simply just because I already knew and had a good idea of what was going to work because I've already seen it work with so many different businesses at that point. When I started, I had a super focused sales strategy. We launched on Big Cartel and TikTok Shop just to begin. And I knew from the start that trying to sell on too many platforms would just spread me thin, and it opened so many opportunities for errors. At first, I thought that offering retail gift sets and accessories alongside the candles so that, you could be an all-in-one stop and shop would be a smart idea. Like, give everybody options, make gift sets, everything all in one. Like, it seemed like a really, really great concept. But in reality, those extra products ended up just becoming a financial sinkhole for me. It was inventory I had to buy, and maybe I did get net terms on it, but it didn't sell like I wanted it to. Things like that, they just became paperweights sitting in a room, right? The best-selling product ended up being my tea light candles, which also, ironically, is one of the cheapest products that it takes for me to manufacture. Simplicity wins, right? So even though I would say our sales were steady, they weren't quite where I wanted them. They definitely weren't where I needed them to be if I wanted to step away from the full-time job that I held at that time. And I was struggling to promote on social media. Like, I thought that I would really enjoy that part of the job and that spark of creativity, because that's why I was pouring the candles to begin with, is because it was tapping into a bit of creativity inside of me that I've never had at a job. I've sold a lot of things that other people make already, retail, or I sell services. And sometimes those services allow me to get creative with processes and things like that. But I never creative developed and like made my own product. And even though it was something so simple as tea light candles, like, that was enough creativity for me to get my confidence up. And I thought I would like the social media aspect, and then it just didn't come authentically to me. And I wasn't in love, and I didn't have the budget to hire somebody else who that is their specialty. I didn't want to put in that equity. I didn't have the equity to put in. So I went against my gut of sticking to fewer platforms and instead expanded onto Instagram and Facebook. I even thought about doing in-person markets. I think that actually still is really a great way to reduce costs, shipping, and sell here locally, boost the economy, and support more vendors here locally and more, farmers markets here locally. But I, again, didn't love the idea of fronting all of the startup costs when at that point I had already invested so much of my own money into testing and getting everything set up, and then just trying to make what I had already committed to work. Then one day I got some real ass feedback and some real ass advice from a great friend of mine, Kate, who owns a brick and mortar motorcycle accessory shop in Southern California. Someone who has current market experience too. She suggested that I try Amazon. And to be honest, I resisted at first. I had 6 years of experience working at a startup that specifically only sold on Amazon. And honestly, I wasn't eager to get back to the Amazon side of life. But she made a good case because she kept the wheels spinning in my head for a few months, and eventually I gave in. I picked just a few core products to list on Amazon. Tea light candles, candle tins, basic wax melts, and like lip balms. I didn't run any ads at first. I just did some like light keyword optimization on my actual listings because they were my listings. I had to buy the EPC codes. I had to start everything and do all that from scratch because it was my own manufactured product. And to my shock, like even just that little investment on Amazon to make sure that I had the right words that people were searching that would bring them to my listing, like I started to see sales. So in May of 2024, that's when I officially launched on Amazon. And by June, I started investing in actual sponsored ads, but just on my tea light candles. I really tried to learn and understand the complicated sponsored ad platform because even at my prior e-commerce job for 6 years, they never put a dime into Amazon marketing because they, had their own way of doing things that I won't get into. So like the sponsored ad portion was all very new to me, and it was intimidating. There's a lot to it. It's still intimidating, let's be real. But that decision alone led to a 60% increase in sales, and growth continued to steadily grow for the next few months. And even with the added marketing costs by using Amazon sponsored ads, I was able to adjust my manufacturing expenses because I was able to fulfill more orders. So I was able to buy my raw materials in bigger quantities, which gave me bigger discounts. And it put us in a really good position to improve profit margins. And here's the shocker, and it's probably the unpopular opinion, but selling on Amazon actually became a pleasant experience because I was an MFN, not an FBA seller. MFN is manufacturer fulfillment, basically. So I'm the one that's taking the orders. I'm the one that's packaging it. I'm the one that is putting a shipping label on it, and I'm the one that's taking it to the carrier to get out the door to the customer. The FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. That is when a manufacturer sends a bunch of their units to an Amazon warehouse where it sits and it is stored until somebody buys it, and then somebody at Amazon takes it off the shelf, puts it in Amazon's packaging, and then Amazon and other carriers take care of the shipment process to the customer. So when you sell FBA, there are a ton more costs involved. But as a manufactured seller that was doing everything start to finish on my own, it was actually amazing, to be quite honest. And because of how Amazon structures its payouts, I didn't have to front shipping costs or advertising costs even. They were just deducted from the next payout, and I could see in real time the ins and outs of my money that was just sitting in like the Amazon pool for 2 weeks before it gets paid out to me. So I could check to make sure everything was right. I could check to make sure they were billing me everything, and everything was always right. And honestly, it like worked like a short-term line of credit, which is something that's nearly impossible for small businesses to get when they are first starting out, because you don't have prior financial activity to allow creditors to make these big decisions off of, right? And the selling fees were also extremely reasonable to where I was selling on big cartel and payment processors like Stripe and PayPal. And since I was hand making all of my goods, Amazon has a program for handmade goods where they waive the monthly account fee too. Meanwhile, I'm paying to be on big cartel and I'm paying to be on these other platforms. So here I was selling on one platform, Amazon, selling one product in 3 different size options with one marketing strategy, and it was working. Go figure. Less is more sometimes, right? And that's the hard lesson in business. Now, as all of this was happening, Clean Bee Consulting had become a thing. I had stepped away from my full-time job completely. And so I was an entrepreneur that was running 2 businesses, a consulting firm and a candle business. And at that point, the consulting firm was really gaining momentum. And I was at a crossroads where I knew I had to slow down on one of the businesses. Otherwise, I was going to burn out and I was going to hate both of them. So I made the call to put candles on the back seat, arguably right before the busiest time of year for candles, which would be Q4. Fast forward to November 2024, I hired Allison for Clean Bee Consulting as our senior bookkeeper. And in the couple weeks of onboarding training, what do I find out? In the 3 years that we hadn't worked together, she also learned how to pour candles on her own. So I essentially found my unicorn that is a bookkeeper and a candle pourer as well too, somehow. So that to me still is very wild. But we made the call to pause the candle biz through our consulting busy season so that we could focus on our commitments to our clients and so that we could build the full Throttle Finance program. But we're definitely exploring and planning all of the different ways that we plan to restart the candle business in 2025. Another unexpected market that has kind of just transpired while candles have been off the market is the wholesale side of the business, which was something that I hadn't ever really even considered when I first started the candle biz. So our big plans for this year are to get to a point where we can get 2 different manufacturing locations set up and running. Our plan is to scale smartly, but that also brings on a whole lot of additional costs: insurance, payroll, equipment, raw materials, markets, you name it. So we're being careful, we're being strategic, and most importantly, we are being patient. Sit with that one a little bit, because I always have to make myself sit with the patience, because that's the hardest part, is patience. Here's what this entire journey has taught me. Knowing a lot doesn't mean you know everything. I resisted Amazon for emotional reasons, not strategic ones. The simple answer is often the right one. Tea lights, one platform, one strategy, and it worked. And don't be afraid to slow down. If you're growing without intention, it's really just chaos in disguise. Whether you're running a race team, a product-based business, or a service-based business, these lessons all apply similarly. And just like in motorsports, business success often comes down to things like consistency, data, and refining what works. Sometimes your best move isn't what you want it to be, but it is going to be the decision that actually gets you results. Thanks for hanging out with me today, letting me get a little bit vulnerable with you and letting me tell you a little bit about my candle business detour. I hope that you found it relatable in some way. And just remember, if you are in the early stages of business, whether it be product or service based, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember this: simple scales, steady wins. Just like dialing in your setup on race day, it's all about making those small, deliberate adjustments over time. Focused effort is always going to beat scattered energy. And as always, if you found today's insights valuable or fun, all we ask is that you please like, share, comment, tag, post, leave a review, anything that will help spread our message out to other business owners that might need a little help shifting that mindset in business. And as always, too, if you've gotten through this episode and you really feel like you need a team of finance pros that get it, that have been there, that have done it, that have seen it done a bunch of different ways, we do still do one-on-one consultations with programs, and we do still have space and capacity to take on a few more retainer clients. So if that's something that interests you, then make sure you visit our website at www.cleanbeeconsulting.com/consultations and get yours scheduled so that we can help get you on the right track to success. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next Friday. Allison will be back, and we're going to have a super fun and relatable episode for our Moto America racers and race programs. So be sure to tune in as we continue to break down finance with a motorsport twist. We'll see you next Friday. Bye.